So the two teams meet for the first time since November 2016 when Mourinho was in charge of Manchester United and suffered a 2-1 away defeat to the Turkish Giants in the Europa League group stage. Whilst current manager Erik Hag hit out at sections of the media for creating stories and fairy tales about his future as the Manchester United manager, that before his side beat Brentford 2-1 last weekend. He's also urged everyone to only judge his side at the end of this season, despite recent struggles.
It's about how you are in the end of the year. And Mourinho is so experienced, he will lead his team to his best form and will be successful, and so we will be. We are convinced that we are in the right direction, that we follow the right path, and we will achieve what our targets are.
They're currently 12th, Gabby, in the Premier League, and if they don't win tonight, it will be their worst start to a European campaign since the early 80s, having started with 2 successive draws.
Some people say he deserves time. He deserves time. It's not a problem. Give him time. Get off his back. He's a good guy. He's very nice to us.
I think you're taking the mick there.
No, I'm saying I totally agree with most Manchester United fans that have had enough now. Yes, winning against Brentford, it sort of prolongs it a bit longer. You're going to go to another international break. Yeah, you'll go to another international break and you might have won 2 games and drawn 2 and lost 1. I think Manchester United need a change. I don't think he's the man for the job.
But is the biggest issue that there is maybe no one out there? Or is there someone out there you think could do a better job?
Could it as well be like, I'm sure did they say it might be 17 million it will cost to maybe sack him as well? So it's got to be expensive to sack him. They've got to make sure that maybe someone like Xavi, the ex-Borussia Dortmund manager, want the job. So it's a big decision, but he finds a result when the pressure's on. That's why I says I'd back them to go and win tonight, because when the pressure's on, they will get a result, Manchester United.
Okay, so tonight it is old versus new, Mourinho versus Ten Hag. United fans, we want to hear from you. Would you bring back the special one right now? 03717 223344. That's the number to call us on if you want to have your say. And that is exactly what Ben has done this morning. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben.
Morning, Gabby. Morning, Natalie.
Great.
How are we?
We're all right. How are you?
Yeah, just enjoying listening to the show.
Good. Thank you for that. How optimistic are you then, first of all, about tonight?
Tonight, it doesn't give me much hope, if I'm honest, because recently, you've seen over the past 18 months how this coach sets his team up. We don't look like we've got a game plan. We don't look like we're solid at the back, despite recent performances. I mean, you'll see the difference in the 2 managers tonight. Mourinho will set that team up to do a job, and that team will do a job. I'm absolutely certain of it. We haven't got the best away record in Turkey. The players are very up and down, inconsistent. You don't know what Man United you're going to get from game to game, and I think that is the massive issue. I mean, at the minute, I think we're just fed up with the coach. We're looking at what Emery's doing with a Villa squad in the same kind of time period. We're seeing what Slot's coming and doing with Liverpool. And to be honest, being a Man United fan right now, seeing these other coaches do their magic, it's actually a bit depressing, to be honest, watching our club go backwards.
Ben, you know what? If I was a Manchester United fan as well, I'd look at some of his comments of judge me and my team at the end of the season. Yeah, but at the end of the season, you might not be in the Champions League again, and it's another season wasted.
He's absolutely delusional, honestly, Gabby. Some of his press conferences after the game, it's like you want to whack your head against the wall. You're like, how can you see that? Because we're watching the same game as you.
Yes.
How can you come out and say, question about mentality, then the question gets put to him about mentality, then he backtracks. I think he's completely lost his head at that job. I think it's too big for him. Some of the players that he's brought in, to be honest, for the money and the price tags, I mean, Anthony.
I was just going to quickly ask though, Ben, very quickly, are you José in then, or is Ten Hag the only one available right now?
No, even personally, I'd say break the bank and go and get an Emery, someone who...
I beg your pardon? Qu'est-ce que c'est? No, understand. Pardon, Ben?
You know what I mean, Gabby?
Parlez-vous français? Wow.
Oui.
Sorry, Ben.
No, I just think Emery's done an absolute fantastic job, and this is no disrespect to Villa and no disrespect to Gabby, your club. If you look at Man United and how big we are as a club, you'd wonder what would that coach do with this group of players. what would he do with like a bigger budget with these bigger players? And I'm not being funny. Emery's gone to most teams across Europe, and if the players have got an attitude problem or if they don't play the way that he wants them to play, I'm sorry, mate, but you're out the door and you're not good enough.
Good points, Ben. Appreciate the call. Thank you very much. I know, you're stuttering.
Yeah.
Let's move on very quickly because talkSPORT Chief Football Correspondent Alex Crook joins us. Morning to you, Crookie. How you doing?
Good morning, Crookie.
Yeah, good morning from sunny Istanbul. Gabby stuttering in the studio. Manchester United have been stuttering in Europe for a long time now. Do you know, it's a year to the day since they last won a game in continental competition, and that needed a last-minute penalty save from Andre Onana to beat Copenhagen. No surprise that the Turkish papers this morning have latched onto that. No escape, reads one of them here in Istanbul. They're referencing the fact United have twice been beaten by Fenerbahce on home soil. Fenerbahce also 14 wins from their last 17 home European games. We can't do it without you, José Mourinho, with a message there to the Fenerbahce fans in the Turkish Gazette. 35,000 expected inside the stadium tonight. We know from previous Manchester United visits to Turkey, it's going to be a very hostile atmosphere the Red Devils will be battling.
So we heard from Ben there. He thinks they should go for Unai Emery. He's done, basically, with Erik ten Hag. Should they break the bank, or even can they break the bank to bring in someone like Emery?
I think it's difficult with PSR to necessarily buy a manager out of his contract. Then there's the question, would a manager like Unai Emery swap Aston Villa, upwardly mobile, top of the Champions League after 3 wins in 3, swap that for a club like Manchester United? I make Gabby right, by the way. Every time you think Erik ten Hag's days are numbered, he does tend to pull a result out of the fire. So it wouldn't completely surprise me if they were to win here in Istanbul tonight, particularly because Fenerbahce themselves are not pulling up any trees in Turkey. In fact, we're talking about the pressure that's on ten Hag. There's a lot of pressure on José Mourinho as well, talking to Fenerbahce fans. They're not particularly enamoured with him and his press conference yesterday. Standing room only at the club's training ground. Box office José as usual. But it was almost like an audition to get back to the Premier League. So I'm not entirely convinced that he's happy here either.
I think as well, Crookie, if you're a Manchester United fan, or if you're the hierarchy at Manchester United, you want to see the likes of Ugarte starting. You want to see the players that you give the manager money to spend performing and playing. You don't, no disrespect to Johnny Evans, but you want to see Martinez starting, you want to see De Ligt starting, you want to see Mazraoui starting. You know, you want to see the players that you spent all the money on playing.
Well, I think Ugarte will start. They've not got many choices in midfield. In fact, only 3 senior central midfielders available. So I think it will be Ugarte in there alongside Eriksen and Casemiro, 2 players who aren't getting any younger. Johnny Evans hasn't travelled. He's injured, so there's going to be some kind of defensive reshuffle. But I take your point. It was quite damning, wasn't it, when they needed that result away from home against Aston Villa, that both Martinez and De Ligt started that game on the bench. 2 players that Ten Hag has signed for a lot of money, and actually put his faith in Maguire and Johnny Evans when he was almost playing survival football. So the signings largely are yet to fire. I think that's fair to say. That caller referenced Anthony. My understanding is that Manchester United made it pretty clear to Anthony, who is here in Turkey, that his future lays elsewhere. He can leave in January, but they're going to have to take a massive hit, aren't they, on the £80 million they paid for him. So there's so much wrong at Manchester United, and Erik ten Hag certainly has to take responsibility for that. But it's interesting, I put it to him last night when José Mourinho left United, one of the criticisms that he levelled was that their record in Europe means they're no longer an elite team, and that hasn't really kicked on. They obviously had that one final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when they lost on penalties, ironically, to Unai Emery and Villarreal. The Champions League was a disaster last season. They came bottom of a group that included Galatasaray and Copenhagen was unforgivable, really. And they've started this European campaign poorly as well. But he never really addresses that. I asked him, how do you get back to being an elite European team? And he said, we'll win games. We'll win games in Europe. We'll win games in the Premier League. He's got incredible belief that he can turn it around. I just hope that for Manchester United's sake, the players have that belief in their manager as well.
Or can they get their first win in the Europa League tonight? We'll find out live on talkSPORT. Oh, go on, quickly.
Crookie, we can see you on camera here, Crookie. I can see you swimming shorts on underneath that T-shirt. You're there to work, Crookie, all right?
Honestly, I did try out the rooftop swimming pool yesterday.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Freezing. It was freezing, but I gave it a go anyway.
Top
Brilliant.
man, Crookie.
Yeah, enjoy tonight. Thank you very much. Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, then out in Istanbul.
He gets where water doesn't get him, Crookie, honestly. He loves a trip, doesn't he?
He's quite handy at getting on a trip and enjoys himself when he's out there. You're quite right. A lot of people getting in touch with what Manchester United fan Ben had to say about Emery, getting Emery in. Well, another Ben has said hands off Emery. Simon has also said... sorry, Ben, you'll have to keep wondering on that one for a very long time as well. And this is a Manchester United fan, Leon, who's just been in touch to say, I don't want José back at Manchester United. I think Emery... Oh, it's a lot of sorries for us. I think Emery, sorry Gabby, or Frank, sorry Nat, would be good at United. However, he says, why would they leave? We keep going on about how big Manchester United is, but Tuchel took the England job and turned us down.
Exactly.
Would that have happened 10 years ago? He
Nope.
says we all need a reality check. Very interesting.
Yes.
Thank you very much there.
Impossible.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.